The power of forgiveness in Stoic teachings. Have you ever felt a weight in your chest, a burning anger that refuses to fade? Perhaps someone hurt you, deeply betrayed your trust, insulted your character, or acted unjustly. That pain lingers, replaying in your mind, fueling resentment and making your days heavier. Yet the more you hold on to it, the more it chains you to the past. Imagine if you could set yourself free, not by changing what happened, but by changing how you feel about it. Forgiveness, according to the Stoics, is not about excusing others, but about reclaiming your own peace. It's an act of strength, not weakness, a way to rise above and protect your inner tranquility. Would you choose freedom over bitterness if you had the power? Forgiveness is more than an act of kindness, it's a declaration of freedom. In Stoic philosophy, forgiveness isn't about absolving others to make them feel better, it's about reclaiming your own peace of mind. Marcus Aurelius, a great Stoic thinker, taught us that harboring anger or resentment is like allowing someone else's actions to poison your soul. Forgiveness, therefore, is not a weakness but a profound strength, a refusal to let others' mistakes dictate your inner state. In a society filled with misunderstandings and conflicts, forgiveness is an essential tool for personal growth. Epictetus emphasized that what harms us is not the actions of others, but how we perceive and react to those actions. This principle encourages us to detach from external wrongs and focus on mastering our inner responses. Forgiveness, through this lens, is an act of self-discipline and rationality, a choice to rise above negativity. The Stoics also remind us that forgiveness is not about forgetting or dismissing injustice. Instead, it is about understanding the flawed nature of human behavior. Marcus Aurelius advised us to consider that others act out of ignorance or misguided intentions, just as we sometimes do. This perspective fosters empathy and helps us view conflicts with clarity rather than emotional reactivity. Through forgiveness, we liberate ourselves from being perpetual victims of others' behavior. It's a reminder that our happiness and tranquility are in our own hands. By choosing forgiveness, we align with the Stoic ideal of living according to reason and virtue, unshaken by external circumstances. It's not just an act of grace for others, it's a vital practice for our own well-being and growth. Forgiveness, when seen through the lens of Stoic philosophy, is not about condoning wrong actions or excusing harmful behavior. Instead, it is a deliberate choice to free oneself from the emotional burdens of anger, resentment, or vengeance. The Stoics viewed forgiveness as an act of rational understanding, rooted in their belief that emotions like anger stem from misguided judgments and false perceptions about the world. According to Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, forgiveness arises from recognizing the shared human condition. He reminded us that people often act out of ignorance, weakness, or misguided intentions rather than malice. By acknowledging this, we can approach others' actions with compassion rather than hostility. For instance, Marcus wrote, "Whenever someone has done wrong by you, immediately consider what notion of good or evil led him to wrong you." This perspective encourages us to view others not as villains but as flawed individuals, just like ourselves. Epictetus, another great Stoic thinker, emphasized that external events, including others' actions, do not harm us in themselves. What harms us is our interpretation of those events. Forgiveness, therefore, becomes an exercise in controlling our reactions, reframing perceived wrongs, and focusing on what lies within our power, our thoughts and actions. This detachment allows us to maintain our inner peace, even in the face of injustice. Forgiveness in Stoicism is not passive but active. It does not demand forgetting the harm done, but instead requires understanding it without letting it define our emotional state. It aligns with the Stoic pursuit of living a life guided by reason and virtue, where we refuse to let anger or resentment take control of our minds. By forgiving, we assert our independence from others' mistakes and reaffirm our commitment to tranquility, wisdom, and resilience. This form of forgiveness is a profound expression of self-mastery, demonstrating the power of our rational nature over fleeting emotions. In Stoic philosophy, perspective is key to understanding the role of forgiveness. How we interpret events and the actions of others deeply influences our ability to forgive. The Stoics believe that external events themselves hold no inherent value, they only acquire meaning through our judgments. This means that how we perceive a wrong and how we frame it in our minds directly affects whether we choose to hold on to anger or extend forgiveness. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, offers a powerful tool for this. He writes, "When you are offended at any man's fault, turn to yourself and reflect in what way you are guilty." This statement is a reminder that in every interaction we are all imperfect. It encourages us to step outside of the immediate hurt and consider our own flaws, which can shift our focus from blaming others to understanding the shared human experience. By recognizing that everyone, including ourselves, is prone to mistakes, we begin to see wrongdoings in a more compassionate light. Instead of holding on to resentment, we embrace forgiveness because we realize the wrongdoing may not be as personal or malicious as it initially seemed. Epictetus expands on this idea by teaching that we have control over our interpretations. He famously said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." This Stoic insight emphasizes that our emotional responses are not dictated by the actions of others, but by our judgments of those actions. Therefore, by shifting our perspective on the perceived offense, understanding that people often act out of ignorance, stress, or personal struggles, we can choose to release our anger and forgive, rather than clinging to the emotional turmoil that fuels bitterness. Forgiveness, then, requires a shift in perspective. It involves choosing to view a situation not as an injustice done to us, but as a learning opportunity for both ourselves and the person who wronged us. In this way, Stoicism teaches that perspective is not only central to forgiveness but to peace of mind. By seeing life from a broader, more compassionate point of view, we are more likely to forgive others and, in doing so, protect our own tranquility. Forgiveness, according to Stoic philosophy, is not just an act of releasing others from their wrongdoings. It is, in fact, a path to personal freedom and emotional liberation. The Stoics believe that harboring resentment or anger toward others chains us to negative emotions and distracts us from living a virtuous and peaceful life. In this sense, forgiveness becomes a powerful tool for breaking these chains and reclaiming our peace of mind. One of the core teachings in Stoicism is the concept of focusing only on what is within our control. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, constantly reminds us that we cannot control the actions of others, but we can control how we respond to those actions. By choosing to forgive, we free ourselves from the toxic grip of anger and resentment. These emotions, according to Stoic thinkers, only harm us and limit our ability to live a fulfilling life. When we hold on to grudges, we allow those past wrongs to control our thoughts, often leading to a cycle of emotional suffering. In contrast, forgiveness acts as a way to regain our autonomy over our emotional state, making it a path to true freedom. Epictetus, another prominent Stoic philosopher, reinforces this idea. He teaches that when we forgive, we release the burden of expecting others to behave in a certain way. Instead, we accept that their actions are a reflection of their own struggles, and we are liberated from the need to control or change them. In this sense, forgiveness allows us to let go of the emotional weight tied to the wrongdoings of others. As Epictetus said, "When someone does you wrong, remember that you are in control of how you respond." Forgiveness, therefore, is a form of self-liberation. It allows us to shift our focus away from the past and the pain caused by others, helping us redirect our energy toward the present moment. It aligns with the Stoic goal of achieving tranquility by focusing on what we can control: our own thoughts, actions, and responses. When we let go of grudges, we free ourselves from unnecessary emotional suffering, making space for peace, growth, and a life of greater virtue. Ultimately, forgiveness in Stoicism is not just about absolving others, it is about setting ourselves free. By choosing forgiveness, we release ourselves from the emotional burdens that weigh us down and create the mental space needed for personal growth, wisdom, and true freedom. Practical steps to practice forgiveness. Stoic philosophy offers clear and practical steps to cultivate forgiveness in our daily lives, transforming it from an abstract concept into actionable change. These steps are designed to guide us in releasing negative emotions and finding inner peace, just as Stoic philosophers like Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, and Seneca recommended. Here are some practical steps to help you practice forgiveness rooted in Stoic wisdom. Acknowledge the pain, but refuse to dwell on it. The first step to forgiveness is acknowledging the hurt caused by someone's actions without letting it dominate your thoughts. Stoicism teaches that we should neither ignore nor suppress our feelings. Instead, we should accept them and then choose to move beyond them. Marcus Aurelius often wrote about facing our emotions directly without letting them control us. By recognizing that pain is natural but not permanent, we can begin to separate ourselves from it, allowing ourselves to forgive and move forward. Shift focus to what you can control. One of the most powerful Stoic principles is the understanding that we cannot control other people's actions, but we can control how we respond. When faced with a wrong, focus on your own response. Are you letting anger or resentment control you? As Epictetus put it, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. By taking responsibility for our emotional responses, we free ourselves from the power of others' actions and are able to forgive with clarity and strength. We practice empathy and understanding. To forgive, it's important to step into the other person's shoes and consider their motives, struggles, and imperfections. Stoic thinkers, such as Marcus Aurelius, encourage us to remember that everyone is flawed. When we realize that everyone is fighting their own battles and making mistakes, it becomes easier to forgive. Instead of seeing others as enemies, we learn to see them as fellow humans who may have acted out of ignorance, fear, or hurt, just as we sometimes do. Release the need for revenge or retaliation. Forgiveness is not about excusing the wrong, but about letting go of the desire for vengeance. Stoicism teaches that we should not waste energy trying to punish others, as this only causes more harm to ourselves. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury. Retaliation perpetuates the cycle of suffering, while forgiveness ends it." By releasing the need for revenge, we free ourselves from a toxic emotional cycle and move toward healing. Embrace impermanence. A core Stoic belief is the acceptance of change and the impermanence of life. Every situation, every emotion, and every relationship is temporary. When we recognize that the hurt we feel will not last forever, it becomes easier to forgive. This acceptance of impermanence is liberating. By reminding ourselves that we can let go of grudges and move forward, we open the door to personal freedom and emotional healing. Reflect on your own flaws. Finally, a crucial step in forgiveness is recognizing your own imperfections. Stoics constantly remind us of our flaws and the need for self-improvement. By reflecting on the times we've hurt others or made mistakes, we gain humility and understanding. This self-awareness helps us recognize that we are not so different from the people who have wronged us. Forgiving others becomes an act of extending the same grace and compassion we hope others will offer us when we falter. By practicing these steps consistently, forgiveness becomes not just an act of releasing anger, but a deeper exercise in self-mastery, empathy, and inner peace. It's through these steps that we can truly embody Stoic teachings, transforming ourselves and our relationships with others. Examples of forgiveness in Stoicism. Stoicism is rich with practical wisdom that not only emphasizes the importance of forgiveness, but also provides real-world examples of how this principle was applied by some of history's most influential Stoic philosophers. Here we explore a few powerful examples from the lives and teachings of Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus and Seneca, illustrating how forgiveness aligns with Stoic philosophy. Marcus Aurelius' practice of forgiveness. Marcus Aurelius, one of the most revered Stoic emperors, provides a profound example of forgiveness through his personal reflections in meditations. He frequently reminded himself to maintain a compassionate perspective toward others. In Book 6, for instance, he writes about the importance of forgiving those who wrong us, recognizing that people act out of ignorance much as we sometimes do. Aurelius viewed each person as part of the same human experience, subject to mistakes and misfortunes, and thus deserving of understanding rather than condemnation. His approach to forgiveness was deeply tied to his Stoic beliefs that all individuals are driven by their own circumstances and struggles, much of which are beyond their control. Aurelius also applied this principle in his governance, choosing not to punish those who defied him without understanding their reasons. His ability to forgive was rooted in his broader philosophy of acceptance, recognizing that even adversities could serve as opportunities for personal growth. He saw forgiveness not as an act of weakness, but as a demonstration of strength and control over one's emotions. Epictetus, and the power of empathy. Epictetus, the former slave-turned-philosopher, often spoke about the importance of forgiving others by understanding their struggles. In his discourses, he emphasizes that people's harmful actions often arise from ignorance or misfortune, and that holding on to anger only harms oneself. One of his key teachings in this regard is the idea of seeing others as fellow sufferers, acknowledging that we all make mistakes and that our actions are often shaped by external forces. Epictetus teaches that when we are wronged, we should ask ourselves, what is it that I am truly upset about? He encourages his followers to focus on the things within their control, namely their own responses, rather than harboring resentment. For Epictetus, forgiveness was an act of both wisdom and strength, allowing us to avoid being trapped by negative emotions. Seneca's view on forgiveness and retaliation. Seneca, the Stoic philosopher and statesman, also offered valuable insights on forgiveness. In his letters and essays, Seneca frequently discussed the human tendency to seek revenge and how this impulse can be destructive. In letters to Lucilius, he writes, "It is not that we are too late to forgive, but that we are too late to be angry. Let us avoid that which is worst of all, harming ourselves in retaliation." Seneca believed that forgiveness was not only an opportunity to release ourselves from the burden of anger, but also a demonstration of moral superiority. By forgiving, we refuse to perpetuate the cycle of harm, and we regain control over our emotional state. Seneca's personal life was also marked by his struggles with forgiveness. Despite his powerful philosophical teachings, he was often embroiled in the political intrigues of Rome. However, in his letters, he repeatedly emphasized the importance of maintaining a calm and forgiving attitude, even toward those who wronged him. This reinforces the Stoic belief that one's peace of mind is more valuable than any external conflict. Forgiveness in the Stoic community. In addition to the examples from individual philosophers, Stoic communities historically emphasized the importance of mutual forgiveness. The idea that Stoicism promotes collective peace and virtue is deeply connected to the practice of forgiving others. In his meditations, Marcus Aurelius often refers to the broader Stoic community, calling for understanding and compassion between members. He believes that forgiveness fosters unity and harmony, which are essential for a well-functioning society. Similarly, Epictetus, in his discourses, encourages followers to view every interaction as an opportunity to practice virtue. This includes the cultivation of patience and understanding toward others, even in the face of mistreatment. Through forgiveness, we contribute to the moral development of society by leading by example and encouraging others to release grudges and hatred. Forgiveness as a personal practice in Stoic daily life. Finally, Stoic teachings emphasize forgiveness as a personal practice that can be applied in daily life. Both Marcus Aurelius and Epictetus advocate for self-reflection as a key part of this process. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, routinely reminds himself to let go of grudges and focus on personal growth. He encourages us to remember that our true purpose in life is to develop virtue, not to seek revenge or harbor resentment. Forgiveness, in this context, becomes a personal responsibility, one that directly affects our emotional well-being and personal peace. By using these Stoic examples of forgiveness, we learn that forgiveness is not merely an act toward others, but also an opportunity for self-improvement and inner peace. Whether through Marcus Aurelius' reflective practices, Epictetus' wisdom on empathy, or Seneca's focus on emotional control, Stoicism offers timeless guidance on how to forgive and, in turn, find freedom from negative emotions. Forgiveness brings numerous benefits, both for mental and physical health. From a Stoic perspective, letting go of resentment frees us from emotional turmoil, fostering inner peace. Studies show that forgiveness reduces stress and improves overall well-being by lowering blood pressure and enhancing heart health. On a psychological level, it helps in reducing anxiety and depression, making us more resilient. By practicing forgiveness, we can build better relationships and maintain our focus on personal growth, reflecting the Stoic idea that true peace comes from mastering our responses, not external circumstances. In modern life, Stoic principles of forgiveness can be applied in various ways, helping individuals navigate the complexities of relationships, work, and personal struggles. Forgiveness, when practiced, can break cycles of resentment and negativity in both personal and professional settings. In the workplace, forgiving a colleague for a mistake fosters collaboration and growth. In family dynamics, practicing forgiveness strengthens bonds, reducing conflict and misunderstandings. By adopting a Stoic mindset, we can choose to see each situation objectively, letting go of personal offense and focusing on maintaining inner peace, even in the face of adversity. Forgiveness, as taught by Stoic philosophers, is not just an act of kindness, it is a powerful tool for personal growth and emotional freedom. By choosing to let go of anger and resentment, we align ourselves with Stoic ideals of peace, rationality, and control over our emotions. Practicing forgiveness is a way to regain control over our inner world and improve our relationships, ultimately leading to a more peaceful and fulfilling life. It is a path to emotional resilience and lasting tranquility. Forgiveness can transform not only our own lives, but also the way we interact with the world around us. If you found this exploration of Stoic wisdom helpful, let us know by liking this video. Join us on this journey of self-improvement and philosophical insights by subscribing to the Stoic Belief. Hit the bell icon to stay connected with our latest uploads. Your support helps us bring more meaningful content to you. Thank you for being a part of this community.